everybody, today I'm going to rank every nation's ground forces in War Thunder. I'm going to rank these nations based on their lineups, support vehicles like light tanks, and overall competitiveness. Hope this video helps you pick the next nation to grind or play. If you get any help from this video, I ask you to press that like button. Anyways, one more thing you should remember before the video starts is that even the worst nations in this list are playable and you can have a lot of fun with them, but they just maybe aren't that good as some other. Anyways, this list is based on my own opinions and experience, so let's start. Number 10, Italy. While Italy is first ground nation in War Thunder, it still offers a unique and versatile tech tree, blending early war light tanks with bad, late war and post-war vehicles. Italy's tree includes a wide range of tanks, self-propelled guns and armored vehicles, such as M1340 and M1441, known for decent mobility but bad armor. Mid-war vehicles such as Semovente series, which have good guns for their tier like 75mm and 90mm, but they lack armor protection. Then Italy has post-war vehicles like Leopard 1 variants and Ariete main battle tank, which are highly mobile with okay cannons. Italy also has excellent light tanks with okay autocannons. They can shred light vehicles and even main battle tanks to shreds quickly. Many Italian tanks are also fast and agile, especially in higher ranks, allowing for flanking and fast positioning. Italy also has good firepower in later tiers. Late war tanks and post-war MBTs have okay guns with decent penetration. The weaknesses of Italy is poor armor. The most Italian vehicles have really poor armor, especially in mid-tiers and even the higher tiers. They tend to have weak armor, making them vulnerable to even weaker guns, like autocannons, etc. etc. Low survivability. Many Italian vehicles suffer from cramped crew compartments, making one-shot kills common due to crew knockouts. And they also have limited air tier performance. Many Italian tanks are underwhelming compared to their contemporaries, often lacking firepower and protection. Italian ground forces are good for players who enjoy mobile tanks with hit and run tactics. You need a really good map knowledge and positioning, and you need to use your mobility to outflank enemies while avoiding direct engagements due to weak armor. In summary, Italy's ground forces offer dynamic gameplay to those willing to adapt their strengths, mobility and firepower, and mitigate their weaknesses, poor armor and survivability. So overall, in my opinion and in my experience, Italy is the first ground nation in War Thunder. Number 9, Israel. Israel ground forces bring a unique and formidable set of modern vehicles to the game, reflecting the nation's reliance on modern, heavily upgraded and often important equipment. The Israeli ground forces tree features a mix of tanks and armored vehicles, many of which are modified versions of American, British and French vehicles. This gives them versatile lineup with a range of playstyles, from heavy armor to fast and maneuverable vehicles. The Merkava series is highlight of Israeli ground tree. The Merkava main battle tank offers excellent protection even though Merkava's armor is still kinda bad in the game because Gaijin has not fixed it. But it still has good crew survivability, and higher tier Merkavas like Mark IV, Mark III and Mark IV are known for their potent firepower, mobility and strong turret armor, making them a good top tier nation. Early tier vehicles in Israel 3 like modified Sherman and M51 Super Sherman are not as competitive compared to other nations' air tanks, as they often face higher PR vehicles due to their upgrades, which can make grinding early tiers challenging. While many Israeli tanks have excellent frontal armor, their side armor and rear armor are often vulnerable. Additionally, some of their early modifications of foreign tanks are not that good, like Tiran and that button modification, they are not that good tanks. But Merkava tanks, they are pretty good. And Israeli ground forces also has currently a problem with lineups and not enough variety. With time, they will get new additions, but currently I won't avoid Israel as it's not really competitive nation right now. Israel just don't have currently enough light tanks, enough support tanks to support those Merkavas. So that's like, I think Israel could be a really great minor 3, but they just don't have enough support vehicles currently. I believe that they will get more support vehicles in the future, but right now they lack support vehicles. So in summary, Israeli ground forces are powerhouse at top tier thanks to Merkava tanks. The early grind is tough due to dated vehicles facing superior opponents, but the 3 is okay for players who want to get to the top tier quickly. Number 8. Great Britain. Great Britain is known for their strong emphasis on firepower, heavy armor, and versatility. British tanks, especially from mid-tier onwards, are renowned for their formidable frontal armor. Tanks like Churchill series and later Centurions can take a beating, particularly when angling correctly. Their heavy armor suits defensive and hull-down tactics well. However, many early tanks like Cromwell and Crusader lacks significant armor, relying on mobility instead. Firepower. The Great Britain is home to some of the best guns in the game. The GU F-17 pounder and the later 120mm L11 on vehicles like the Chieftain offers an excellent penetration for its rank, excelling at long-range engagements. The FE-4005 is standout with its massive 183mm cannon, capable of destroying most enemies with a single hit. British tanks are mixed bag in terms of mobility. Early tanks like Crusader and Cromwell are fast and maneuverable, designed for flanking. The heavier tanks such as Churchill series and Chieftain and even Challengers are slower, but can still relocate well enough when necessary. But they still have kinda bad mobility. Many British tanks, even the modern ones, suffer from poor reverse speed, which makes retreating from bad positions risky. And if you make a misplay, you really can't back out of your misplay. So that's a huge problem. British SPAA lineup is also strong, featuring versatile vehicles like the Crusader AA Mark I and ADATs, which can engage both air and ground targets effectively. At higher tiers, British tanks like Challenger 2 offers exceptional armor and firepower, making them competitive in modern era tank battles. These vehicles are designed for defensive playstyles. British ground forces are best suited for players who enjoy a mix of heavy armor and accurate, powerful guns. While they aren't as good as some other nations, their durability and long-range effectiveness make them excellent in defensive or positional battles. Number 7. France. French ground forces offers a unique and diverse lineups, ranging from early interval tanks to cutting-edge modern vehicles. Early ranks are unique but challenging and hard ranks. Early French tanks like Renault R35 and Somme S35 are heavily armored for their PR, but suffer from low speed and lackluster firepower. These tanks are pain to play, like they are just pain to play. The mid-tiers have some good tanks, like ARL 44 and Char B1, which have excellent firepower and armor. The B1 bis in particular is a standout, offering 2 cannons and excellent frontal armor for its PR, but its mobility is still poor. The tank destroyers like SAU-40 and AMX M4 introduce effective anti-tank roles, bringing much needed firepower to the lineups. French mid-tier tank destroyers often lack speed but have decent survivability. The later tiers The AMX30 line, starting with AMX30 and progressing to variants like AMX30P2, introduces mobility and versatility. These tanks emphasize speed and maneuverability, but have thinner armor compared to their contemporaries. Their strong guns and heat rounds are excellent for dealing with a wide range of threats. Top-tier vehicles like Leclerc series are vast and agile and have superior firepower, but can be less forgiving in terms of survivability due to weaker armor. Overall, French have really good firepower with excellent guns, especially with heat and APFSDS rounds in later ranks. French tanks are also highly mobile, they are fast and maneuverable, great for flanking and hit and run playstyles. They also have diverse playstyles too, from heavily armored tanks to fast-moving glass cannons. French 3 offers variety. Some weaknesses of French tanks are that many vehicles have weak armor and overall thin protection, especially at higher ranks. And early tier is really slow and feels underwhelming due to poor mobility and limited firepower. And French 3 also has kinda steep learning curve. It takes time to adapt to France's unique balance of speed, armor and firepower. Overall, French ground forces provide a distinct and challenging experience, especially rewarding for players who favor mobility and precision at higher tiers. But some lower tier tanks are hard to use effectively. Later vehicles like AMX30 and Leclerc make up for it with good mobility and firepower. Number 6. Japan. Japanese ground forces offer a unique experience compared to other nations, focusing on mobility, versatile firepower and situational awareness. Japanese tanks are generally nimble, especially at mid to late tiers. Vehicles like Type 74 and Type 90 have excellent speed, allowing for a quick repositioning and flanking. Japanese tanks also has high penetration, especially at higher ranks. Japan features tanks equipped with powerful cannons. The Type 90 and Type 10 have access to advanced ammunition types, giving them excellent penetration values to tackle even the most heaviest armored vehicles. Japan also has versatile light tanks, like Type 87 and Type 16 are fast, equipped with good cannons and comes with all the abilities of light tanks like scouting, scout drones, etc. etc. This makes them really great for the lineups as support vehicles. They also have autoloaders like STB-1 and later tanks comes with autoloaders, allowing them to maintain high rate of fire, especially useful in close engagement or quick follow-up shots. Japan also has strong anti-air like Type 87 and Tansama. They provide strong anti-air support. Japan has few weaknesses, like lack of armor. Many Japanese tanks, especially at earlier models like Chiha and Chinu, suffer from thin armor, making them vulnerable to enemy fire. Even higher tier tanks like Type 74 and Type 10 are prone to being destroyed in a single hit by more powerful opponents. Underwhelming early game. The early Japanese tanks struggle against their counterparts from other nations with weaker guns and armor. Large silhouettes. Some Japanese vehicles, especially at higher ranks, have relatively large silhouettes, making them easy targets for enemy. Japan ground forces cater to playstyle that rewards positioning, patience and careful shot placement. At higher ranks, Japan can compete with other nations thanks to its well-rounded MPTs and good lineups and good support vehicles. But early tiers are kinda challenging because of weaker vehicles. Japan excels at mobility and firepower, especially at higher tiers, but struggle with armor and survivability and versatility. So overall, Japan is really solid choice, but it should be your first choice, in my opinion. Number 5, China. Chinese ground forces offer a diverse and interesting tech tree, incorporating vehicles from various countries due to their historical context of China's military development. Early tiers are vehicles from Soviet and American tech tree, reflecting on China's reliance on foreign equipment post-World War II. And during the Korean War, you find T-34s, Shermans that offer mix of playstyles. The mid-tiers introduces more Soviet vehicles like T-54 and IS-2 combined with Chinese modifications. China begins to build its own indigenous designs like Type 59, which is essentially a Chinese Type 54. The later tiers offer modern Chinese tanks, and they become more prominent, including domestic designs like Type 96 and Type 99. These vehicles were to improved mobility, firepower and armor comparable to other modern MPTs. Many Chinese tanks, especially from the mid-tier onwards, combine good firepower and mobility. Vehicles like Type 59 and Type 69 are solid all-rounders. They also have decent armor. Soviet-inspired designs provide a solid frontal armor, especially with vehicles like CTZ-99, which can withstand hits from comparable enemies. China also has good variety of vehicles, from light tanks to self-propelled guns to medium tanks to the late-game MPTs. China has an interesting range of vehicles that suit different playstyles, and they have really great lineups, from early ranks to the top tier. But they have copycat syndrome, so many designs, especially in early tier, are just Soviet and American vehicles. So many early and mid-tier tanks are essentially reskins or slight modifications of Soviet and American designs, which might feel redundant if you already played American tanks or Soviet tanks. China lacks strong early anti-air options, which can be frustrating when facing aircraft. They have really weak anti-air, especially at low tiers, but at high tiers they have really great AA. Compared to more established nations like US, Germany or Russia, the Chinese tree can feel a bit underdeveloped with fewer unique vehicles in certain tiers. But remember that China has a lot of modern vehicles that Gaijin will add, so they are really great nation to play because they are kind of like future-proofed, because they have so much vehicles that haven't been added that I think that Gaijin will add in the future. So China offers a solid choice for players who enjoy Soviet and American tanks but want fresh spin with some unique domestically produced vehicles at higher tiers. They offer good blend of flexibility, but the tech tree feels more like a composite of borrowed designs until later ranks. Number 4, Germany. German ground forces offers a diverse and powerful selection of tanks and vehicles that span from World War II through modern day. The German ground tree is one of the most popular and offers a balance of armored power, mobility and firepower. Germany has exceptional firepower on all ranks. They have Panzer IV, Tiger, Panther and Leopard series tanks are famous for their accurate and powerful guns. High penetration rounds and superior optics make these tanks deadly at long ranges. The Leopard series in high tiers is one of the best main battle tanks in the game. Leopard 2A7 is currently, in my opinion, one of, if not the best, main battle tank in the game. Effective armor. Tiger 1 and 2 heavy tanks have strong frontal armor and are challenging to penetrate from the front, making them ideal for head-on engagements. Panther series has excellent sloped armor, which adds to its survivability. Late-tier vehicles like Leopard 2A5 have excellent and composite armor, giving them edge against modern rounds. Germany has also a variety of vehicles, from early war light tanks like the Panzer II to modern infantry fighting vehicles like Puma. Germany has a wide selection of vehicles for different playstyles. World War II era tank destroyers like Jagdpanther and Jagdpanzer IV provide excellent long-range firepower with strong frontal armor. German tanks usually also have good mobility. Medium tanks like Panther and modern MBTs like Leopard 1 and Leopard 2 are known for their mobility, allowing them to flank and reposition quickly. Germany's SPAA units like Gepard and Flaragrad, aka Missile Bus, provide excellent anti-air coverage. Germany also has some weaknesses. German tanks usually have weak side and rear armor. Many German tanks, including Tiger and Panther, have weak side armor, making them vulnerable to flanking. Modern main battle tanks like Leopard 1 sacrifice armor for mobility, and that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing, depending on a map. German tanks also usually, especially in early ranks, have slow reload and turret traverse. Early and mid-tier tanks like Tiger series have slower reload times and turret traverse compared to their rivals, which can be a disadvantage in close combat. Late-tier tanks do improve in this aspect, but some tanks still have longer reloads compared to their NATO or Soviet counterparts. So yeah, overall, I think that Germany is one of the best nation in the game on the ground forces side. German ground forces are favored for their combination of high firepower, solid armor and versatility, but they do require a good balance of tactical positioning and awareness. Players who can use their strengths, long-range accuracy, frontal armor and mobility will find a great success, but those who expose their flanks or engage too closely may struggle against faster or more heavily armored opponents. So overall, I think that Germany is a really great pick, and if you're just starting the game, I think Germany is a really great pick. And Germany is good nation for starters, and it is also good nation for veterans, because there are some really good tanks like the top tier Leopard, like Puma, and like the Tiger 2, Tiger 1, Panther. They are all good tanks. So overall, Germany number 4. Number 3, United States. United States Ground Force offers a versatile and powerful lineups with focus on mobility, firepower and armor, particularly in the higher tiers. In low tiers, US Ground Forces were to light and medium tanks like M2A4 and M3 Stuart, which are fast and agile, perfect for flanking. The early medium tanks like M3 Lee and M4 Sherman provide a decent armor and good firepower, but can struggle against the more heavily armored opponents, especially German or Soviet tanks. The Germans offer a solid all-around performance. In the mid-tiers, US tanks become more competitive with M4A3, A2 Sherman Jumbo, which boast excellent frontal armor, giving it superior survivability. The M18 Hellcat brings great mobility and potent 76mm gun, allowing for effective hit-and-run tactics. True, it sacrifices armor for speed. Tank destroyers like M10 and M36 provide high-velocity guns capable of penetrating even the most tougher opponents they face. At high tiers, US lineup becomes increasingly powerful thanks to advancements like M46 Patton and M47 Patton tanks, which combine solid armor with improved mobility and firepower. The M48 Patton introduces stabilizers for better accuracy on the move, and M60 variants improve upon this with even stronger armor and guns. The M1 Abrams series at top tier offers excellent mobility, cutting-edge firepower with its 105 and 120mm smoothbore guns, and great survivability due to advanced composite armor and ERA. The Abrams line is particularly well suited for aggressive playstyles, combining speed and defense to dominate in most engagements. Overall, I think that Abrams tank it's not the best MBT at top tier, but it's still really competitive in my opinion. US tanks usually has really good mobility across all tiers with many fast and agile vehicles. They also has really versatile firepower, including strong medium tanks and tank destroyers, and late tier dominance with M1 Abrams series, which offers an ideal combination of speed, firepower and armor. But there are armor limitations. At mid to low tiers, many US tanks are vulnerable to heavier opponents like German Tigers or Soviet IS tanks. Bad teams. US usually has really bad teams at all ranks. And why is that? Well, the most players who start this game picks US as their first nation. And that is the reason why US usually has really bad teams. And even in the top tier, US has really bad teams. And sometimes it can feel really frustrating when you're having a good game as US, but your team just collapses. It's just complete collapse. Like 50% of your team has left the game after first death. Sometimes it's just really frustrating, and it is a huge, it's just huge weakness for US. So overall, US Ground Forces offers a flexible playstyle that evolves from flanking and mobility-based tactics at lower tiers to heavy armor and firepower dominance at higher tiers. The nation's tanks are generally reliable and well-rounded, excelling in support roles and fast-paced combat scenarios, especially in late-game vehicles like Abrams series. Number 2. USSR or Russia. Offer a distinctive and powerful experience, especially for players who appreciate heavy armor, strong guns, and durability. Soviet tanks, especially KV and IS series, are known for their thick frontal armor. This makes them highly resistant to enemy fire, especially in close to medium-range engagements. Many USSR tanks feature potent guns with high penetration and devastating damage output. Tanks like T-34 and T-54 and later models are well known for their powerful 85mm and 100mm cannons. Sloped armor. The iconic T-34 series introduced sloped armor, which significantly increases the chances of shots ricocheting, giving the tanks excellent survivability for its tier. Brawling capability. Soviet tanks often perform better in close quarters combat due to their thick armor and hard-hitting guns. This makes them ideal for aggressive playstyles, pushing objectives and dominating urban maps. Solid mid to late game tech tree. As you progress in USSR ground forces, you encounter legendary tanks like IS-3 and T-54, known for their combination of armor and firepower. High-tier Soviet tanks like T-72 and T-80 offer advanced armor and fire control systems, making them highly competitive at top tier. USSR also has great super vehicles like BMP series and ATGM carriers like Kirinstantema. I know I don't have the best pronunciation, but yeah, those are really good support tanks. Some weakness that Soviets have is that they have low mobility on heavy tanks. The heavy tanks like KV-1 and IS series have sluggish mobility and are slow to accelerate, which makes them vulnerable to flanking maneuvers. They have limited gun depression. Soviet tanks, like most of the 90% of Soviet tanks, have limited gun depression. It is one of the most notorious drawbacks of the Soviet tanks is the poor gun depression angles. This can make hull-down positions difficult to utilize, limiting their effectiveness in certain maps. Weak side and rear armor. While Soviet tanks boast impressive frontal armor, the sides and rear are often more vulnerable. Once flanked, they can be easily penetrated by enemy fire, particularly from the more mobile vehicles. And inconsistent low-tier tanks. Early Soviet vehicles, especially in rank 1 and rank 2 ranges, can feel underwhelming. Tanks like PT series have mobility but lack the armor and firepower to be effective in the battles. But it will get better. After rank 2, the Soviet tech tree really gets going, and it will get really good after rank 2. So overall, Russia's ground forces emphasize frontal engagements, durable armor, and hard-hitting guns. They shine from mid to high tiers, but require players to be aware of their positioning, as poor gun depression, weaker side armor, and horrible reverse speed are huge liabilities. Number 1. Sweden. Sweden offers a unique and interesting experience with their combination of well-armored vehicles, mobility, and powerful weaponry. Early ranks are largely inspired by imported or licensed designs such as Stridsvagn M38, M40 and PVKV-2. These tanks are lightly armored but fairly mobile and decently armed. Anti-tank vehicles like IKV-72 and IKV-103 are introduced with strong firepower but weak armor. During mid-tiers, Swedish vehicles begin to stand out more. The Stridsvagn 74 is notable mid-tier medium tank featuring an effective 75mm gun with great depression angles for ridge fighting. The Stridsvagn 81 and Stridsvagn 101 provide well-armored and strong gun platforms for medium to long-range engagements. Light tank destroyers like IKV 91 offer a balance of mobility and firepower. The Swedish 3 excels at high tiers with unique designs like Stridsvagn 103 series, which stands out with their unique hull aiming mechanic, offering low profile and well-armored designs ideal for defensive plays. At top tier, vehicles like CV90-105 and CV90-40 are fast and agile with highly effective autocannons and ATGMs. The Stridsvagn 122, a variant of the Leopard 2, offers a great armor and firepower to compete with the best main battle tanks. Sweden's anti-air vehicles like LVKV-90 and ITO-90M provide excellent anti-air capabilities. Swedish tanks have really good mobility and firepower, especially at higher tiers. They also have unique and innovative designs like Stridsvagn 103 with the unique hull aiming mechanic. They also have effective anti-air vehicles and they have good light tanks with ATGMs. They also has really strong late game tanks with good lineups, and Sweden actually has one of the highest win rates at top tier. But Swedish tanks also have some weaknesses like weak early armor. During early tiers they have really bad armor on their vehicles and they don't have really heavy tanks until mid tiers. The hull aiming mode on the Stridsvagn 103 also can be sometimes difficult and frustrating to play. Also, Sweden also has less variety, especially at low to mid tiers, because they don't have heavily armored vehicles compared to other nations. Swedish ground forces offer a mix of versatile and agile vehicles, which particularly excels at mid to high tiers. Okay, that was my list of best and worst ground nations in War Thunder. What did you think about this list? Post your own list in the comment section. Also, remember to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video or got any value out of it. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Peace.